Now, let me take a sense of this class. How many of you all have already enrolled for sociology optional at La Excellence? Anyone here who's already enrolled for sociology optional at La Excellence? Okay, one. Okay, how many of you all here have made up your minds to opt for sociology as an optional? Okay, most of you have, but you don't know where to attend. That's your scenario, isn't it? Okay, I hope that's the case with our online students as well. Okay. See, this is, some of you may have either attended my previous sociology workshop or you may have seen the video on YouTube, right? There's a video uploaded on La Excellence YouTube channel of my previous workshop. Some of you may have seen it. If you have not, I strongly suggest that you go back and see that, okay? Because I want to make this particular workshop somewhat different. Kyunki we are starting our sociology offline come online optional foundation course from 26th, okay, of August. 26th of August, right? And this is a Thursday. All right. This program will be in online and offline mode simultaneously. Online come offline mode. Right? And if you are willing to attend this course, you can take admission and you can start attending from Thursday onwards, right? So what we are going to do on next Thursday and Friday is that 2 days, Thursday and Friday. Next Thursday and next Friday we are going to speak exclusively about syllabus. 2 days. Some of you may be wondering, why do we need 2 days to speak about the syllabus itself? Right? Because this is a mistake that most of the freshers make, that is they jump into an optional or they, sir? Is everything fine? Ikkada, okay. As I was saying, most of the students begin their UPSC preparation, whether it is optional or whether it is general studies, without knowing the boundaries of the syllabus. They don't understand what the syllabus is and they just start picking up books and they start reading, alright. This is a very, very ineffective and inefficient way of going about, because as you must have realized by now, the syllabus itself is so vast, right. You need to know what you need to know. Okay? In this examination, the most important thing is that before you begin, you need a clear idea as to what all the things you need to be aware of and to what extent. Okay? Which is why I believe that it's very important that we spend a good amount of time speaking about what is there in your syllabus first of all. Okay? I have this exercise of what is called syllabus mapping. What is called syllabus mapping? Okay, what does this syllabus mapping involve? See, what happens is that your UPSC gives out a notification wherein the syllabus is mentioned, alright. But the problem arises mainly due to the fact that, say suppose, for example, they have mentioned a topic called urbanization. Okay, this is a topic in your sociology second paper, okay. They have mentioned this topic called urbanization, right? Now the question arises is, if anyone doesn't know, urbanization deals with emergence of cities and city life, okay? Cities, city life and its culture. City life, its culture, so on and so forth. Okay? Now sociologists spend a great deal of time trying to understand the differences between the life in villages and the life in cities. That is one of the things that sociologists have been traditionally preoccupied with, that differentiation. What is the life in villages like, what is the life in cities like, right? They want to compare and contrast, right? For example, now in your syllabus, this topic is mentioned, urbanization, okay? Now if you go to any good library and look at the sociology section under the urbanization head, you will find that there are such variety of topics on which sociologists conduct their research. For example, some sociologists conduct research on family in city. Family, how is family life in urban areas? Some people focus on how is religion in city. Some people focus on the psychological aspects of living in a city. Okay, like this, different sociologists focus on different aspects of city life. For example, I'm just trying to make you aware of what is this syllabus mapping, right? Now, one of the things that every aspirant must do to begin with, okay, alright, is that they should know based on previous year's questions. Alright, based on previous year's questions asked by UPSC in the last 30 to 40 years, you need to know what dimensions of urbanization are you supposed to prepare. This is what is called syllabus mapping. Knowing what you should know, how much you should know, in what depth you should know. This is what is called syllabus mapping, right? So next Thursday and Friday, as I do always, okay, I am going to allocate these 2 days, the first 2 days of our new program only for syllabus mapping, so that you are all aware of what you should know to score high marks in sociology optional. Okay? Now, because we are just 1 week away from starting our foundation course, I thought that rather than spend all of my time trying to help you figure out how to choose an optional, which I have done in my previous workshop, and you can look at that video on La Excellence YouTube channel. How many of you have seen that video? Okay, one person has. Okay, please go back and see that video wherein I spoke in some detail as to how you should choose your optional. Okay, how you should choose your optional, right? Does anyone, is there anyone in this classroom who has come to find out how to choose an optional? Okay, some of you want to find out how to choose an optional, right? I'll speak very briefly about it. But please go back and watch that video on La Excellence YouTube channel, okay? It says Sociology Workshop, right? Okay, let me start there. So, how to pick an optional subject, right? See, first of all, let us also try and understand what is the importance of optional, okay? See, what happens generally, okay, let me just see the chat box. Anthropology, sociology. Some people are not getting voice. Okay, so what are we going to do today? I'll speak very briefly with respect to how to choose an optional. What are the various things that you are supposed to consider when you are choosing an optional subject, right? Because I am given to understand that many of you have already made a choice, okay, to pick sociology as the optional. That is what I am given to understand. Okay, but anyway, I'll speak about this because we have a few students who want to know about this. Second one is that my main focus is on trying to lay out this sociology optional. If you pick sociology as an optional, right, what do you need to do? What to do going forward? This is what I want to focus on today. What to do going forward if you pick sociology as an option, right? I want to focus more on this aspect because we are just 1 week away from starting the foundation course. So if you are picking sociology as an optional, you need a fair idea as to what are the various things that you need to do, all right? But even before I go there, let me just try to impress upon you the importance of optional subject, all right? See, your mains examination, right? So what happens is that something like 10,000 students pass their prelims examination and give their mains examination. Okay? We have about 3.5 to 4 lakh people who appear in the prelims examination. Out of that, 10,000 students end up giving the mains examination. Now what happens generally is that out of these 10,000 students, something like 4,000 students are, even before they put their pen on the paper, they are out of the race. Alright, You have studied very hard and you have passed your prelims examination, but even before you put your pen on paper in the mains examination, you are completely out of the race. You have no chance of getting selected, right? The main reason behind this is that these 4,000 students in the last 1 year, they have not prepared for their optional, ethics and essay papers. Optional, ethics and essay papers, and together these three subjects make up around 1,000 marks. They make up around 1,000 marks. They would have prepared for their GS 1 to 3 papers. These together constitute something like 750 marks. Alright? And what happens most of the time is that all those students who are actually competing for a rank, they get somewhat similar marks in their GS 1 to 3 papers. Okay? They get 100, 105, 100, 105, around this range. Those who really get a rank outscore the others in their optional, ethics and essay papers. They have a very clear 20 mark lead in essay paper, some 10 marks lead in ethics paper, and some 40 to 50 marks lead in optional paper. Together this makes something like 70 marks, right? This is the difference between All India rank 1 and not being in the list at all. This is the difference. Okay, they would have got somewhat similar marks here. Okay, everybody who is actually in the race, okay, for a rank gets around 100, 105 in GS 1 to 3. The main difference is in these three papers. So what these 4,000 people do, and you will be astonished to know that there will be a lot of people who are repeaters in this examination. First year they have studied only for their prelims and they have failed prelims. Next year again they have studied only for their prelims, they have passed prelims, but they know nothing about their optional, ethics and essay. So they have to come back again next year. Okay. Now this is like a vicious cycle. This is like a vicious cycle that a UPSC aspirant goes through, right? Because the main problem is that their first step is wrong. Their first step towards their goal of achieving a rank is wrong. Why is it wrong? Because they forget that it is these three papers that give you a rank, and they start reading history, geography, polity, economy, science and technology, current affairs, this and that. Okay. But they forget that it is these three papers which ultimately give them a rank. So I know of people who have given prelims 6 times, they have passed prelims all 6 times with great margins. Okay. 10 marks above cutoff, 15 marks above cutoff, but they can't pass mains examination. The reason being that throughout the year they study only for their prelims and they focus on these GS 1 to 3 papers, and they forget that it is these 3 papers which give you a rank. Okay? Out of this 1,000 marks, optional alone has 500 marks. Optional alone has 500 marks. Alright? And depending upon how well you know your optional subject, your essay scores also will increase. Okay? Because in essay you are supposed to write well thought out 1200 words on some matter. Now how will you develop this deep thinking? Okay, you will not develop this deep thinking by reading your GS 1, 2, 3 or current affairs or whatever. You need deep, clear, theoretical thinking to write a good essay. And that skill you pick up only when you focus on your optional subject. Only when you focus on your optional subject you are able to pick up this skill of deep, clear and theoretical thinking. How to think theoretically, abstractly. Are you able to follow? Okay? So it is of paramount importance. The point that I am trying to make here is that it's of paramount importance that you very quickly choose your optional subject and start preparing for your optional subject from day 1 of your UPSC preparation. From day 1 of your UPSC preparation. Because I'll tell you something. You can master your GS 1 to 3 only in 60 days, okay? If you are given 60 days and the right sort of guidance, you can master your GS 1 to 3 for your mains examination. 100% you can master it. If you study some 8 to 10 hours every day, okay, which is a given for UPSC examination, and if you give 60 days, okay, you can master GS 1 to 3. But you cannot master your optional unless you have 6 to 9 months. You cannot master your optional unless you have 6 to 9 months at your hand. Anybody who is telling you that you can finish your optional in 3 months, 4 months, they are lying to you. Okay? They are lying to you, and forget this optional or that optional. No optional can be finished. Whichever optional you take, minimum of 6 to 9 months is required. The reason being that most of you would be picking up optionals which you have not studied previously. Suppose if you pick sociology, is there anyone here in this class who has studied sociology before? No, right? So it will be a completely new subject for you, one. So it will take you some amount of time just to get used to what this subject is all about, to learn the vocabulary of this subject, to understand what are the core concerns of this subject. You will take some time for that. Then the second thing is that in your general studies, see, as the name suggests, right, general studies, only general awareness is sufficient. Very superficial general awareness, okay, what is food security? Suppose if there is a topic called food security in your GS3, okay, you should know what is food security, what is the status of India in food security, what are some innovative methods in which we can bring about food security in India. That much is sufficient. But in your optional papers, that won't be sufficient. Optional papers will challenge you to go deep, okay, think in a manner that particular optional requires you to think. For example, if you are taking sociology optional and they ask you something about family, okay, family in India, it is not sufficient that you have some general awareness regarding family in India. You must be able to think like a sociologist. You don't have to become a sociologist, but you should be able to think like a sociologist. Are you able to follow? Only then they will give you marks, otherwise they will not give you any marks. If you write general, vague, superficial things, in your GS they will give you marks for that. But in your optional they will not give you marks. You must dig deep, dive deep and try to understand the nuances of that discipline. Only then you will get marks. Only then you will get marks. Right? That is the second problem. Third problem is that UPSC, as far as the optional paper is concerned, they don't give good marks for static content. That is, you must be thinking that maybe I will pick up some toppers material, I will mug it up before the examination and I will vomit it on the paper. You are unlikely to get marks if you do that. UPSC awards marks for application in the optional papers. UPSC awards marks for application in the optional paper. That is, suppose if I teach you a particular theory, it is not sufficient that you remember that theory and vomit it on the paper in the exam. You are supposed to understand, then this is true of all the optionals, okay? This is true of all the optionals other than science optionals, okay? You are supposed to understand the concepts and you are supposed to intelligently apply those concepts to understand the society or your environment around you. Only then you will get marks. Right? And this requires a specific effort. This requires a specific effort. That is, first you have to understand. You have to understand all the concepts. Then you have to interlink them, relate them and interlink them with current events. You have to interlink them with current events. Only then they will give you marks. And this requires that you first fully understand and make some mental effort to try and interlink whatever theories and concepts that are being taught with whatever is happening around in the society. This is what they check. They don't give you marks 100%. Please write down in your books. If you are thinking that I will simply mug up some material and vomit it on the paper, you will never pass this examination 100%. Okay, so to do this you need time. It won't be difficult, okay, these are not like very difficult things or the concepts are not very difficult. It is just that you need time to clearly understand what is being said and give yourself the time to practice application. Okay, so you need anywhere between 6 to 9 months minimum. You need anywhere between 6 to 9 months minimum to master your optional subject. Alright, you must have come across people scoring 310, 320, 330 in their sociology paper, right? Very high marks. If you go deeper and find out what they have been doing, they have been preparing for the optional for at least 2 to 3 years, which is why they have that level of confidence to score so many marks. Okay? So don't be in this very sorry category of only preparing for prelims and then continuously failing mains examination and never realizing your dream, okay? So your first step has to be right. Start preparing for your optional. Then somewhere in the middle of your preparation, you must also think about ethics and essay. Once you are done with your basics in history, geography, polity, economy and environment, you must start thinking about your ethics and essay as well. Alright? So make the right moves in the beginning itself. Make the right moves in the beginning itself. Okay? Now, I'll speak for 5 to 10 minutes about how to choose an optional, but are there any specific questions or confusions regarding optional subject? I want to hear from students who have come to find out how to choose an optional. Do you have any specific questions? Please feel free to ask any question. No question is a wrong question, okay? Any specific questions or confusions concerning how to choose an optional subject? Yeah? Who are the students who want to find out about how to choose optional? Okay, do you have any specific questions? Have you shortlisted 2 or 3 optionals? Yeah, what is your shortlist? Okay, classic case. Should I take anthropology or sociology? Anybody else? Same problem. That's what, same problem. Same problem. Anthropology or sociology? Anybody else? No other specific question? Please take 1 minute to think if you have any specific questions concerning how to choose an optional subject, and I will answer them, okay? Let me see online students if they have any specific questions. Should we select overlap subjects? Okay. When will the syllabus be completed? Malayalam and sociology. Okay, Shilpa Raj. Okay, anthropology and sociology. This is the main confusion. Okay. See, first thing is that these optionals, let me also include what online students are asking. Is botany a high scoring subject? See, I don't know, okay. If you ask me about subjects like botany, Bodo literature, Assamese literature, I can't answer these questions because I know nothing about these subjects, okay. I can answer questions concerning popular social science and humanities optionals. Okay. See, these optionals basically they fall into 4 different categories, alright. First is your science and engineering subjects. Science and engineering subjects, okay. This is one category. Then the second category is what is called your social science subjects. The third category is what are called your humanities subjects. And the fourth category is what are called professional courses. Okay. Under these professional courses you have subjects such as law, accounts, accountancy, management, these type of subjects, and I tend to include medical science also. Medical science. Any doctors here in the class? BDS doctors? You are MBBS doctor? Huh? Homeopathy doctor, okay. So I don't think homeopathy is part of the optional, okay. So medical science, okay. So these are the professional courses. Alright. Then here you have a variety of science and engineering subjects such as physics, chemistry, okay, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, all these sort of subjects are there here. Okay. Mathematics, these type of subjects fall here. Then you have social science subjects such as sociology, anthropology, political science, history, geography, public administration, so on and so forth. Alright, did I miss anything? Economics. These are the sort of subjects that you find here. Okay. Then you have psychology also you can add here, okay. Then you have your humanities subjects. When I say humanities subjects, I mean 2 types, okay. One is your language Okay, literature. Telugu literature, Hindi literature, Malayalam literature, like this. Right? Then you have philosophy. You have philosophy. Okay. Now suppose if 10,000 students give the mains examination every year, or forget people giving mains examination, say there are 800 people who get selected every year, something like 95% of the people opt with these optionals, social science optionals. Around 95% of the people opt social science optionals. Do you know why? Because whatever you study here in the social science optionals, it is overlapping with your general studies preparation. Okay, so you study something once and it will be useful at two different places. On the other hand, if you take optionals of this sort, okay, optionals of this sort, they won't be very useful for your general studies. They won't be very useful for your general studies preparation. Okay? And these professional courses, particularly accounts and medical sciences, right? These are somewhat a little more popular. Why? Because students who are giving their UPSC examinations with these optionals are also simultaneously preparing for their chartered accountancy and NEET examinations. So they already have a very good grasp over their optional subjects, which is why it makes sense for them to pick these optionals. Now I will tell you what your position is. Okay, most of you must have studied some science course or the other. How many engineers here in the class? Most of you. You have studied some science course or the other, but you have learnt nothing in the last 3 to 4 years. Isn't that the case? You cannot say with any confidence that I know something about my graduation subject. Okay, most of you, if I give you your last semester question paper again and ask you to write that examination without copying and get it evaluated, all of you will fail miserably. Okay, because I know what you write in your university examinations. Whatever you write, they will pass you. That confidence you have. Isn't that the case? Okay, that is not your problem. That is the problem with the graduation education system in this country. Okay, so most of you must have studied courses of this sort and you know nothing about these subjects, right? Then it obviously makes sense for you to pick these sort of options. Because whichever subject you pick, you have to learn from scratch again. Isn't that the case? So it makes sense for you to pick these optionals because it will also help you in your general studies preparation. Okay? So that is the first decision that you have to make. But among you there may be someone who is very good at mathematics to the extent that with like a very quick revision of their entire syllabus, they may have done BSc or MSc in mathematics, right? With a very quick revision and they have a natural bent of mind for mathematics, and within 1-2 months if they revise, they will be ready for their mains examination. If we have any individuals in this class who have that kind of confidence in their graduation subject, close your eyes, go ahead and pick that optional, okay? Pick that subject as your optional, but none of you are like that, I know, okay? So this is straight away out of question. Because if you have to learn everything from the beginning, then what is the point of doing an optional which doesn't help you in your GS papers, right? Anyway, you are going to start everything from the scratch. Now these literature optionals, they don't contribute anything to your general studies preparation. And some student is asking in the online this thing whether she should pick Malayali literature, okay? Go ahead and pick Malayalam literature if you already have a very, very good grasp of classical Malayali writing and modern Malayali writing. Okay? That is, from the childhood you are naturally interested in Malayalam literature. You have spent your time during your school and your graduation reading this or that novel in that language, right? And you have taken a natural interest in this subject for a long period of time, only then go ahead and pick these literature optionals, because literature optionals have the problem of plateauing. What is this plateauing? You can somewhat easily get 270 in literature, okay, but after that to get every 1 mark extra will be a Herculean task, okay, but this 270 will not be enough for you to qualify. So these literature papers generally have this problem of plateauing in average scores, okay. After this 270, every single mark will be so difficult to get because you have to write something so unique and interesting for the examiner to award you extra marks, isn't it? Because in literature paper you cannot write contemporary examples, or you cannot use material that you have read in current affairs, okay. Literature, you have to write literature type content, okay. So it will be difficult, okay. So make this choice very carefully. If you have already taken good interest in literature subjects for at least 3-4 years before giving this examination, only then go for literature subjects. Philosophy is a very nice optional. It will help you in your ethics paper and in your essay writing. But the problem is that for this optional itself, the materials are very poor, particularly in the second paper. You will find it very difficult to find good quality philosophy material, good quality coaching, good quality test series, okay. But if you want to take that route and make your own effort to master philosophy, because who doesn't like philosophy, right? Okay, everybody likes philosophy and they enjoy reading philosophy, but getting marks will be very difficult in this subject, okay. Because here we have not come here for intellectual entertainment, isn't it? We have come here to get high marks in the optional paper and finally see our names in that final rank list that UPSC releases, right? So you have to take an optional which will help you maximize your scores, isn't it? Here. And I hope you already know that with these professional courses, right, again same with like your science and engineering subjects, and mostly people who are preparing for their chartered accountancy and NEET examinations pick these optionals, okay. What about these social science optionals, right? Anybody who tells you, for example, now this sort of thing happens and freshers like you are easy soft targets for advertising and marketing, okay. So let me just burst one bubble for you, okay. If someone tells you that anthropology is easier than sociology, anthropology is easier than sociology, right? Has anybody come across this sort of a thing? Or in anthropology you can score very high marks, in sociology you cannot score. In anthropology you can score very high marks, but in sociology it is very difficult to score high marks, okay. Or someone will tell you that if you take public administration, okay, if you take public administration, it is very easy to get a rank because most of the rankers have public administration optional. They do this sort of campaign. Or they say that if you take geography, right, you just need to remember, no need to think. If you just remember things, it is sufficient. These are the sort of things that float around in the market, okay. And all of you, many of you fall prey to this sort of these sort of ideas because the main problem is that you know nothing about any of these subjects. You know nothing about any of these subjects and you go with what is called this street wisdom. Okay, just walk down this Vikas bookstore line at 6 o'clock in the evening. So much of free advice is dispensed by every Tom, Dick and Harry, okay. You tell them that I have taken sociology, very difficult, okay. You should say you should take anthropology optional and this one particular teacher you have to take it from, only then you will get a rank, okay. This sort of free wisdom is dispensed on the street, okay. All this is nonsense. All this is nonsense. No optional is difficult, no optional is hard. Sorry, no optional is difficult, no optional is easy. Alright? Those who get marks, good marks in a particular optional are the ones who have understood the syllabus, that's it. If you understand what is there in your syllabus and if you have mastered the content, you will get marks. And this whole comparison between whether anthropology is easy or sociology is easy, whether public administration is more scoring or history is more scoring, all this is complete bogus, okay. If this is bogus, then how should you decide your optional, right? There is only one way to decide your optional subject, okay. This is the hard way but the only way, that is know what is in the optional syllabus, okay, that is know the subject first. What do I mean by knowing the subject? You do not have to gain any kind of deep understanding of the subject, right? Suppose if you are taking sociology optional, first of all go and find out what sort of themes, what sort of issues sociologists discuss. You will find that sociologists discuss themes such as family, religion, okay, caste, gender, politics and social movements. Like this you will know. Are you comfortable studying about these themes or not? That is the only way in which you can pick an optional. If you want to pick PSI or optional, right, go find out what is there in that optional. It has something called as political theory. In this political theory, you are supposed to know about the views of philosophers such as Aristotle, Plato, Hobbes, Locke, so on and so forth. Then you have to think about social movements also. You have to think about democracy as a concept. Okay, like this. Then you can compare, right? Am I going to more easily understand topics such as family, religion, caste, gender, or am I going to understand these topics more easily? Okay. If you are comfortable, because there is no other way, right? Because you cannot spend 1 or 2 months reading each and every optional and then deciding. Which is why you opt for this street wisdom shortcuts. Adi easy anta తీసుకుందాం ఆ టీచర్ మంచిదంట అక్కడ that is the wrong way of doing it, because maybe you are impressed by a particular teacher, but 1 month into your optional preparation you will realize that I have no bloody idea about what this Aristotle is saying and I have no interest in finding out. Then it will be a torture. Convince yourself that the topics that are there in a particular optional are somewhat manageable. I am somewhat interested in them. I like knowing about them. Then go ahead and pick it. No other way. Because, please don't mistake me, I am not trying to say that different optionals have different challenges, okay? But on a balance, it appears as if that the challenges are somewhat similar or they are somewhat commensurate. It's not as if that one optional has more challenges and another optional has less type of challenges. Okay? I will tell you what are the various challenges that you or hurdles that you have to cross to score really high marks in sociology in just a bit, right? But more specifically, students keep asking us whether to take sociology or anthropology. Okay, from the framework that I told you, I will tell you what sociology deals with and what anthropology deals with. Okay, so that you are able to make a choice. Okay, anthropology, it translates as a comprehensive study of man. Okay, man here means both man and woman. Comprehensive study of human beings. Alright, anthropology means that it's a comprehensive study of man or human beings. Right? Now this subject anthropology is divided into 2 branches. It is divided into 2 branches, right? One branch is what is called physical anthropology. Physical anthropology. And the other branch is called sociocultural anthropology. Okay. Now this physical anthropology part it has no similarity with sociology. It's a completely different discipline. Now this physical anthropology deals with aspects such as your biology and genetics. Biology and genetics. It deals with archaeology, that is how to read fossils. It deals with archaeology, and they do all of this with a view to classify human populations, and understand the evolution of human. To understand the evolution of human. Okay, to classify the evolution of human beings, right? So when you go to an anthropology class, you will know more about what is physical anthropology, but the sense that you must be getting from here is that it is some science type thing. Okay, it is some technical discipline, it's some science type thing, right? So it has to do with genetics, archaeology, reading fossils, these sort of things. Okay, so one thing you have to keep in mind, am I willing to study this or not, because this is in the syllabus. Okay, first question is that answered. Second, many people get confused between anthropology and sociology because both anthropologists and sociologists study the same sort of things. If you take their anthropology syllabus, there also they are studying tribes, caste, gender, these sort of things, culture, these sort of things. And sociology also seems to study the same sort of things. Then why are there two disciplines? That is the question that arises in people's minds, right? The point is that anthropologists focus on simple primitive societies. They focus on simple and primitive societies. Okay, what do we mean by simple and primitive societies? No, think in terms of a small scale tribal society, okay, living somewhere in the forests of Africa, okay, what sort of culture do they have, how is marriage in these societies, these sort of things. They think about simple and primitive societies. Anthropology, socio-cultural anthropology as a discipline mainly deals with a study of simple and primitive societies, which are also sometimes called non-modern societies. Okay? Whereas sociology as a discipline deals with the societies which all of us live in, and that is modern society. Modern society. Okay? Sociology as a discipline is mainly concerned about modern societies, the sort of societies that all of us live in. And how is this modern society organized? What are the various dimensions of this modern society? How is this modern society changing? Okay, so we talk in terms of traditional society, modern society and postmodern society. Okay, this is the classification. How did this transition happen? How did traditional societies become modern societies? And how are modern societies changing, and are we moving towards a postmodern society? These are the sort of things that sociologists deal with. Okay, so if you are picking anthropology, make sure that you are interested in knowing about what I call exotic societies. How does, say, Kondareddy tribe live? Okay. Where do you find these Kondareddy tribes? Okay, you find them all over your Eastern Ghats region and the Chhattisgarh region, okay, and somewhat in Orissa also. How do they live? What is their main form of economic activity? How is marriage in these sort of societies? If you are interested in knowing about these exotic, faraway societies, okay, then you should pick anthropology. But if you are more interested about knowing about the here and now, what type of society am I living in? What are the various dynamics in the society that I am watching around myself? Okay, then you pick sociology. Am I making sense to everyone? This is the only difference between anthropology and sociology. Anybody who is telling you that in anthropology they'll give you marks easily and in sociology they don't, they are straight off lying to you. Okay, that is the idea. Clear? Any other question concerning how to pick optional? Yeah? Any other question concerning how to pick optional? Any question you can go ahead and ask me, okay? I'm more than happy to answer. Yeah? Sociology. Sociology is more overlapping with GS than anthropology, okay? That is the idea. Anthropology also has an overlap, but sociology has more. Public administration has even more overlap. Okay, like that. There is a difference of degree, okay, between overlap between optional subjects and but there is also a trade-off, you know. If you take public administration optional, for the optional itself you have to read so much because the syllabus is very vast in public administration, whereas in anthropology and sociology you have a tiny syllabus. Okay, so these sort of things are there. But if you like the subject, right, and if you are willing to learn it, okay, even if you are spending more time studying for a particular optional, it will benefit you somewhere else. Okay, so that is definitely there. Okay, so don't pick your optional in terms of measuring how many marks sociology is overlapping in GS, how many marks public administration is overlap. Don't do this sort of childish thing. Okay, find out what that subject is about. Convince yourself that yes, I have some interest in it. Okay, if I get some good lectures on this subject, I can pick up this subject. Khatam. Dive deep into it, don't look back. The another thing is that don't vacillate, okay. Another problem, because all of you are freshers, I want to tell you, don't vacillate. 5 days you are thinking, chalo, let me take sociology. Then again somebody has told you that no, anthropology. Don't do that. Once you make a decision, stick with it. Okay, everything else is nonsense, okay, that one is easy, another is hard. All this is completely useless. Just talk to senior aspirants, okay, people who have given their mains or appeared in the interviews. They will tell you that all this is bogus. You can get a rank taking any optional. Just that you have to have some amount of interest. Some amount of interest in that subject and you are able to follow it. Okay? Anything else? Yeah.
What is the scenario if we do have interest in particular subject and if we don't find any faculty in the market or else we don't find any?
Yeah, that's a real practical problem. Okay, suppose if you like philosophy, genuinely you may be interested in philosophy, but if you don't find good faculty, good guidance, and more than that, good material, then you will be in a big problem.
So
in those cases, go for the next best option. Okay, in those cases, you have to go for the next best option. Because that's important, because in this optional paper, because you are all learning this subject from the scratch, you will find it difficult to pick it up all by yourself. You have to make your own effort, but then if there is nobody to lecture you or give you good guidance, then you might get lost. You see, I am being very frank, okay, because without guidance, you will keep going in circles. You will keep going in circles, okay, because I know a student prepared for sociology optional, somebody told him that you read from IGNOU books. Poor chap, he spent some 6 to 8 months reading all the IGNOU material, BA, MA, everything, and left with no good content to write in the examination, because that's a wrong advice that he got. He thought that I'll not take coaching and prepare by myself, and the advice that he found is that IGNOU material is the best material. Okay, so he kept on reading IGNOU material and he found out at the end of the day that this was not the right way to go forward. Okay, so guidance is important. Okay. Yeah.
Sir, I completed my graduation in geology.
Geology. Okay.
Problem is no guidance from.
Yeah, see, that is the problem, no? No guidance. And this geology optional, overall some 10 or 15 people are opting. And that is why you don't find good guidance for these subjects. But if you have any of your faculty from your previous college who is willing to help you, then I think you can risk it. Okay, and if you have decent confidence that I know geology, okay, and maybe you are also writing some geology, combine some scientist examinations together, if you are doing that, then it makes sense for you, but please make sure that one of your good faculty members is guiding you. Okay, you can do that. You can see these sort of cases always exist, okay, because I am talking about the general scenario. General scenario, you have nowhere to go, but you are like philosophy, okay, what to do? Don't take it. Read philosophy for your leisure, but for marks, do some other subject like that.
What about economics?
Economics is also a good optional, but you need some amount of quantitative skills in economics. Because in that economics, you have microeconomics and macroeconomics. Some amount of statistics, quantitative skills, these are necessary. It's a much more technical discipline compared to other optionals, okay. But other than that, if you are also preparing for the economic services examination or RBI examinations, if you are preparing simultaneously for these examinations, economics makes sense. But I'm not sure if there's any good coaching for economics in Hyderabad. Okay, you will find it in Delhi, right? That's the idea. Sorry? Which optional? I'll tell sir. Just hold your horses. Yeah.
Sir, if optional is more of current oriented, then someone has said that we must then and there itself create and write answers in the exam. Is that so?
In which one?
In any optional, there much current oriented.
No, current oriented, I hate that word, okay. Current static. Like they classify like this, okay. Static current. Okay, what they mean is that something given in the theories, right, in your textbooks, this is according to people static. Okay, what is there in the newspapers is current affairs. Okay, So they classify this into two types, static type questions, current affair type questions, okay, but this is all wrong, okay, because suppose there is a question, okay, in sociology we read about a scholar called Karl Marx, okay, so Karl Marx, and everything that you need to know about Karl Marx will be found in basic books, right? But in the examination, if there is a question on Karl Marx and you just simply reproduce what you have read in the textbook, you will get average score. What you need to do is that you have to write something about Karl Marx and interlink it with current affairs. Something that has recently happened. Labor laws introduced by the government is a good example, okay, of migration of capital from advanced countries to third world countries in search for loose labor regulations, okay, something like that. Maybe you are not understanding it right now because you don't know anything about Karl Marx, but you have to link it up. Suppose they ask you a question here on labor reforms itself directly, okay, if you simply write government has introduced labor reforms, these are the provisions, these are the pros, these are the cons, you will get average marks again, okay. You have to bring in some thinker from what you have read and then analyze this current affair. So it's one combined thing, your static content and your current affairs material, it is one combined thing, okay. What UPSC, okay, let me repeat it, what UPSC is checking is your ability to understand concepts and theories that are mentioned in your syllabus and intelligently apply these concepts and theories to current happenings in the society. Any student who is able to do this will score exceptionally good marks. यही है. There is no other magic in this. Why is one person getting only 220, 230 in spite of reading so much, another person is getting 320, 330? Because this first student is unable to link up whatever he is studying to current happenings and apply it intelligently.
How can we interlink that, sir? How can we prepare our mind to interlink such?
By practicing. Whatever, suppose if I teach you some topic called as, under this Karl Marx, there is a topic called as alienation. I will explain what this alienation is to you. Okay? Then you think whether Marx is right or wrong. Is this true about contemporary society or not? You think. If you can't think by yourself, this exam is not for you. Okay? You go write some other exam. You have to think originally by yourself, okay, that is a non-negotiable, whichever optional you take. Try to apply, suppose for example, in sociology we deal with a topic called sexual division of labor. Does anyone know what is sexual division of labor? Huh? Yeah, the idea is that women are supposed to do some sorts of work, that is particularly domestic work. Men are supposed to do some other sort of work, that is go out and earn bread. Okay, so I will explain you various theories concerning sexual division of labor. You think now, what are the consequences of sexual division of labor? You all have your mothers, grandmothers at home. Think.
Housewives.
Yeah, housewives, you think what are the problems, whether this is good, bad, you think. And you write it. Suddenly in newspaper you will come across an article saying that women's labor force participation rate is continuously falling in India. Link it up. Why is it falling down? Due to sexual division of labor. Women have to work at home, that is why they can't go out and work. Link it up. It's a continuous process, okay? It's not like I will give you some injection and suddenly you will have all the knowledge to get marks. It won't be like that. I will explain you the concepts, you think. Try to link it up with current affairs. Think intelligently. Okay, any optional you have to do this, okay? Any optional you have to do this. Okay? Let me just see what my online students are saying. Book list for sociology, pink collar job versus other job, okay. Somebody has already read a little bit, so they are exhibiting there. Anthropology I have already explained. Public administration optional. Public administration optional, Rajshekhar sir will tell you later. See again, okay, Kukkatoka Unkar antar kada. Sir, it is said that anthropology would, no, I don't mean to say that, but I am just using a euphemism. He is saying this student, So anthropology would fetch more marks because the content is static. Okay. All this is rubbish. Who told you content is static in anthropology? Tribal societies are continuously changing. They are revolting. They have contemporary problems. You have to write all of that in your paper. Otherwise you don't get marks. Sir, answer writing skills are required. Where is this? More required in sociology and anthropology. What is your nonsense? Anthropology requires less answer writing skills, sociology requires more. What will you do in anthropology? What will you do? You have to write, no. What will you do in your essay? What will you do in your ethics? What will you do in your GS 1, 2, 3 if you don't have answer writing skills? Okay, all this is because I am getting a little irritated because this admission season, same question is asked of me every day at least 10 times, okay. So I have to repeat the answers, that is why I am losing patience. Okay, but anyway, I don't mean to get upset at all of you, but that is the scenario, right? So there are no more questions concerning how to choose optional. Can we speak for at least another 15-20 minutes about, yeah. Sorry? I am unable to understand. Can you speak a little loud? How to link paper 1 and paper 2? See, most of the topics that you study in your paper 1 will be relevant for your paper 2. Okay, say for example, there is, say you study a thinker called Marx again, okay. You study a thinker called Marx, and in your paper 2, you have topics such as farmers' movements, modes of production in Indian agriculture, workers' movements. You have topics like this, okay. So when you understand what this thinker is trying to tell, thinkers always give you general concepts. They give you general concepts and general theories, okay. You have to use those perspectives to say something intelligent about these topics. That is what it is. Paper 1, paper 2 linkage means that, okay. Say for example, they ask you a question called Manrega. Write something from a sociological perspective on Manrega. What is Manrega? Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, right? In your general studies, for example, if you have to write an answer, you will write provisions of this particular act, so on and so forth, okay? What are the problems, what are the reforms required, like this. But in your sociology, you are not expected to write this. In your sociology, you are expected to link it up with something that you have already read in your first paper. Why is it that there is such a huge problem of unemployment in rural areas in India? You have to think like that. And how are you able to think like that when you have all these basic theories and concepts ready in your mind? Okay, that is what is application. But see, this makes more sense once you start doing your topics, okay? Because it's very difficult to explain how to link without you knowing the topics. That is what it is, okay? Yes, anything else? Yeah, now I will speak for some time about what are the how do you start? Okay, now I am assuming that all of you are going to join sociology optional. What should you do now? Okay, that is the way I am going to speak, okay? What should you do now? The first thing that you should do, say assuming that all of you also come to my class, okay? So I will explain in that fashion. You do what you want to do. See, you have 7 days time now, right? Next Thursday and Friday I am going to do syllabus mapping, alright? What you should do before that is you purchase this book. New Vishal publication. Okay, topic wise, sociology topic wise book. Sociology topic wise book. You purchase this book. This is like some 100 rupees or something, okay? You can find it in Vikas bookstore. So you purchase this book. Now in this book, in the first page itself, you have syllabus. Okay, this is divided into paper 1 and paper 2. This is divided into paper 1 and paper 2. Okay, and paper 1 topics are mentioned like this, paper 2 topics are mentioned. Okay, The first thing that you will do is that take each topic and Google it. Okay, or just Google the keyword. Okay, say for example, modernity and social changes in Europe and emergence of sociology. This is the first topic that is mentioned. Okay, modernity and social changes in Europe and emergence of sociology. Okay, this is the first topic. All of you already have some basic idea as to what is social change. You are able to understand that word in English, but you are unable to understand what is this modernity. This is a technical word. Google it. Okay, don't try to do a PhD on this word. Just to find out what it is. Just find out what it is. Like this, you are expected to do for all the topics. So that by the time you enter the class, you already know something about some words. You are not expected to know a great deal of content, but you know what are these words. First thing that you will do. Second thing what you will do is that you, in this paper 1, in chapter 4, okay, chapter 4, paper 1, chapter 4, yes, you have the names of 6 thinkers, okay, and these 6 thinkers form the nucleus of your sociology preparation. If you understand these 6 thinkers properly, half of your job is done. Okay. What are these thinkers? Durkheim, Emil Durkheim, Karl Marx, Max Weber, Talcott Parsons, Robert K. Merton, and G.H. Mead. Okay, there are 6 thinkers. Don't read anything about their theories. Okay, read about them. Who is Emil Durkheim? Where was he born? How does his face look like? Okay, in Google, go and search his images. How does his face look like? Okay, what are the various books that he wrote? Okay, when did he die? Like this. Who is this Karl Marx? Who is Max Weber? Who is Parsons? Who is Merton? Who is Mead? Find out. Same way, you will also find out about who the following people are. From India, same way, just look at their face, where were they born, what did they do, what was their main, obsession, right, like this, okay, find out who these people are. G.S. Ghurye, M.N. Srinivas, A.R. Desai. Who these 3 people are. Just find out. Okay? Just find out. This is what you are expected to do in 1 week. Google the technical words that are given in your syllabus. Okay? Don't try to learn something about it. Find out what it is. Find out what it is. Okay? And write it down. Write down whatever you find out. Whether right, wrong, in your rough notes, write down. Okay? First thing. Second thing is that you might want to buy some books. Because before the classes start, you would want to have some books handy with you. Right? So what books to buy? I think many of my online students are also asking this question. What books should I buy? Okay. See, the thing is that for your paper 1, okay, paper 1, there is a book called Harlambos and Halbone. Okay, this is a blue color book. They ask me, orange color, blue color. This is a blue color book. The cover page is in blue color. Okay, it's a fat book. If you are seriously taking sociology optional, buy this book. You must have this book. Okay, this costs some 700-800 rupees. Okay, the day you have decided to take sociology as an optional, you must have this book. Okay. Now this book, even though it has some discussion, it won't be useful for three types of some topics. Okay, that is, it won't be useful for your thinkers. Okay, and it won't be useful for a topic called work and economic life. And it won't be useful for a topic called social change. This book won't be useful for these three topics. Even though here and there they have discussed these topics, but it's not sufficient for UPSC, right? So for your 6 thinkers and these 2 chapters, you will solely depend upon my notes, which will be comprehensive, up to date, and more than sufficient for your UPSC examination. Okay, you will solely base your preparation on my notes. Okay, because there are books that you can buy and read, but why waste time? I know that you will buy and never read them. Okay, but get this book. For all other chapters, you can read this book and you will get excellent content, and you will develop the habit of reading sociological content. Okay, so for all the other chapters, you can read this book. For these 3 chapters, you will depend upon my notes. Here and there, 1-2 topics may be missing, even within the chapters that are mentioned here. My notes will cover them. Okay, I will tell you what to write down in your notes. Okay, this is about paper 1. Okay, don't buy Ritzer, don't buy this George Ritzer, because I will send you a PDF. I have a PDF copy of George Ritzer. In this book also, it's hardly some 60-70 pages are relevant for you. Don't buy it. Why waste 300 rupees? I will send you PDF. Whatever are the relevant pages, you can take Xerox. Okay. Then don't buy Anthony Giddens also. It's an excellent book. It's called Anthony Giddens Sociology. Don't buy it. I will send you PDF for this. Because the sort of questions that UPSC asks, this book is better. Okay, for your UPSC preparation, this book is better. Even though this is an excellent book, Anthony Giddens Sociology, but not very sufficient for our UPSC preparation. Don't buy it. I will send you PDF of this book for 1 or 2 topics if you want to refer to this book. Other than that, don't waste your money and buy any book. Okay. Your paper 2, the problem with sociology paper 2 is that there is no textbook. There is no textbook that you can read from for your sociology paper 2. I can list down some 10 to 12 books that will be useful for your paper 2, but why? You are not going to buy them, you are not going to read them. Even if you read, you might not understand. Okay? Entire paper 2 you will read only from my notes. Anyone wants to buy one book ceremonially, if I feel like I will read, buy this book. Deepankar Gupta, Social Stratification. This book has a lot of good essays. This book has a lot of good essays which overlap with our syllabus. You can get this book if you feel like getting it. Otherwise, no need actually. If you want just one book, I think this is also some 400-500 rupees. Anybody who tells you you have to read from IGNOU books, ignore them. Okay? Don't ignore. Okay? Ignore them. Then somebody will tell you that there is one book called Essential Sociology by Nitin Sangwan. Okay, this Nitin Sangwan is a previous ranker. What these days, this is how it is. Once you get a rank, you will convert all your notes, okay, and you will publish a book. You keep getting royalty for years and years together, okay. Like that, this person also has published a book. Now, this book is actually copy-paste of several coaching materials, okay. If you are a fresher and if you pick up this book and start reading, you will not understand the head and tail of it, okay. Don't waste your money and buy that book. The time to buy that essential sociology book is after you have finished the entirety of your sociology preparation. You have lot of time left and you want to see if some additional points can be added to your notes, then you should buy it. But that book itself has become so outdated, okay? No additional points. Everything will be covered. Don't get that book. Nitin Sangwan, Essential Sociology. Again, this is street wisdom. I read from that book sufficient. That is what they tell you, okay? It won't be sufficient. You will not understand anything from that book. Okay? So, paper 2, you will bank only on my notes, okay? Because these notes have been prepared by going through many dozens of books. Whichever topic is mentioned, explained properly in a particular book, I have taken that book, I have written down all the points and I will give you that material, okay? Sometimes I will dictate it to you, sometimes I will send you PDF copies, okay? We will manage once we start, okay? That is how we are going to do it, okay? Then you will get your books, okay? Then what you will also do is that there is one particular ranker that I found very interesting and good. Her name is Neha. Okay, she had sociology optional. I don't remember her last name. Bhosle. Yes. So she has written a blog. Okay, she has written a blog. In this blog, you can find her answer scripts, not her notes. I saw those notes, they are not very good. Okay, it has lot of unnecessary things, that notes. Okay, but she has written many test series. Okay, in different coaching centers, she has written many test series. Okay, collect these, download them and keep. Download them and keep. Because once we start with our preparation, not just this woman, okay, any other ranker, if you can find their test series answer scripts, and this test series has to be before the mains that they got rank. See what they do, suppose there is some institute, okay, maybe this institute is called some V, alright. Now say in 2020 somebody got a rank, okay, but in 2017 somebody has written a test series, okay, they will claim that this is our student only, okay, and they will put up their answer scripts under toppers answers copies. Okay, so please make sure you need toppers answer copies which are written just before they gave mains, okay, which will give you an accurate idea as to how they have been writing. Okay, collect some at least 10 such papers, okay, 5 for paper 1 and 5 for paper 2, so that when we start discussing concepts, right, suppose if I take some concept called social facts, okay, this topic is there in your paper 1, okay, social facts, and I explain it to you. Okay, what you are expected to do is not go and start writing answers. Go see in the topper's copy if there is any answer that he or she has written on this and find out what all things they have written. Okay, you have to do this exercise when simultaneously with your classes, so that you have a clear idea as to how to write. What are the things to write and what are the things not to write. Okay, and you will start answer writing only after the entire program is over, or at least one paper is fully over. Once I finish the entire first paper, then you will start writing answers for first paper. But even that is not necessary, because you will be very busy with your GS classes and current affairs and this or that. You will start writing answers only after the entire course is over. Okay, because see, you call it answer writing, no? Answer writing. It means that you should know the answer and then you should write. Okay. You should know the answer first, then you should know how to write it. If you don't know this first part, what is the answer, what is the point of writing, what will you write? First know the answer, perfect the content. All the concepts must be crystal clear in your head. After that you will start thinking about how am I going to present the content I have. Okay, so don't get overly occupied with practicing answer writing from day 1 onwards. Okay. Your focus must solely be on trying to clearly understand the concepts, and you will revise. Every day you will revise. Okay, that is whatever has been taught, say for example we start on Monday, okay, before coming to class on Tuesday you will revise what has been taught on Monday, and we will have classes from Monday to Friday. On Saturday and Sunday you will revise whatever has been taught in the entire week. This is very important, okay, because I just now finished a batch. We spent lot of time discussing so many different things, and by the time we came to the last few weeks, if I ask them simple things also they are unable to remember. That should not be the case with this batch, okay. Of course, poor people, their batch was disrupted because of this COVID second wave and there was a 1 month gap. That's why maybe they have forgotten. But you must definitely revise. Otherwise, I am telling you, after 1 month, you will all would have forgotten what was taught in the first week. Okay? So every day you will revise. Okay? And every weekend when you don't have classes, you will again spend time revising the whole thing again. And you will do it every day for 16 weeks until we finish the syllabus. Okay, so this syllabus will be finished in 16 weeks. This is a 16 weeks foundation course. Syllabus will be finished in 16 weeks. All topics and all the dimensions of these topics which are necessary for UPSC content will be delivered to you. Okay, classes will be from 2 to 4. Classes will be from 2 to 4 in the afternoon. Please be regular to your classes. Okay, because one day if you miss the class, the next day also you won't understand anything. Because topics will have a certain continuity. Okay, then we are going to start slow and we will pick up pace by the end of 1 month. After 1 month, I am going to slowly increase the pace at which I am delivering content. Okay, so that because in the first 1 month you are very new, maybe you will take some time to get used to the language, get used to the subject. But after 1 month I am going to go a little fast. Because we have to finish in 16 weeks. We will not extend. It's a 4-month course, we will finish in 16 weeks. Okay, and one other problem I want to get this addressed. Please don't create administrative and logistic problems if you are coming to the class, okay. That is, every day somebody has to come find out, did you enroll, let us not do that, okay, because it's a terrible waste of my time. If you are coming to the class, go enroll and then come, okay. See, Thursday and Friday you can come, okay, Thursday and Friday, just give your names and come. But by next Monday, pay some fees and get yourself enrolled in the course. Because every batch I start, the first 10-15 days is just gone thinking about these things. Did you pay the fees? Did you enroll? What is your name? Present, absent? I don't want to do that, okay. That is a terrible waste of all of our times, right? This is what it is. Okay, so I hope to see most of you on Thursday. We still have 15 minutes left. If there are any questions, I am willing to answer. Online students, if you have any classes, I will answer. Questions I will answer. IGNOU material useful for sociology, I already told you, very, very insufficient, okay. IGNOU material is quite insufficient for sociology optional. Is online class available? Yes, this class is in a dual mode, offline and online live streaming mode, okay. That is what it is, okay. For offline students, you please find out the venue from Sunita ma'am, okay. It might be here or it might be in Domalguda, okay. Next, anything else?
Sir, can you refer NCERTs regarding the subject?
No need. NCERT sociology books, you can read it for fun, okay, but they are very, very basic. NCERT sociology books are very, very basic. Just to know a little bit about what is sociology, if you have time you can read it, okay, but otherwise not very necessary. More than NCERT, do that thing I told you. Google the keywords, look at the faces of thinkers, find out which country they came from, which time they lived, when they died, how did they die, what books they wrote, like this. Okay. Sir, can you take classes at LAX Bangalore? Okay, see, for Bangalore students, what is planned is that you have to attend in the online mode, but once in a while, that is once in 2 or 3 weeks, I will be available over the weekend in Bangalore. Okay, and I will hold doubts clearance sessions for you if there are students who want me to go to Bangalore. But that will happen only once in 2 or 3 weeks, right? Mostly you will be in the, you will have to attend in online mode. And if you have any specific questions, then we will start a Telegram group, and in that Telegram group you can coordinate with me. I can take some Zoom classes where you can speak to me directly, okay? That can also be done. Yeah, online classes will be available. Again, another student wants to attend from Indore. Online classes will be available. They will be live streamed, and if you want to interact with the faculty, we can arrange Zoom sessions for you. Okay, but you have to take a prior appointment that on this particular day I want to have a meeting with the faculty. Then I will be available through a Zoom session where I can solve your issues and doubts. How to start preparation individually? Individually, collectively, only one way to start preparation, that is you have to start from topic 1, start reading up on it, okay? And I already told you the books, okay? Paper 2, there is no single textbook, so you have to refer to multiple sources. Sir, can you please tell the thinkers' names again? Anjali, please Google sociology syllabus, sociology optional syllabus, and you will find in paper 1, under chapter 4, you will find the names of all the 6 thinkers, and in paper 2, you will do G.S. Gure, M.N. Srinivas, and A.R. Desai. Sir, will you provide us with recorded classes? Can you, Prithvi, you are requested to consult the office, okay? Because I am not really aware how this system is supposed to work, okay? That if you miss your live online classes, there should be a system where you will be given recorded classes, but please consult the front office and you will know about it. Can we get our answers checked from you? See, there is a limit to how many answers I can individually check, okay? Because I have number of batches running, GS classes, sociology classes, I have previous batch students, and I have test series students also, right? Obviously, as and when I have time, I will check your answers. There is no problem with that, okay? But you have to wait. You can't send me answers in the night and expect me to check it in the morning, okay? You have to wait. It will take 1 week to 10 days also sometimes, because my schedule is many times jam packed, okay? Morning to evening I have classes, then I have to do some Zoom sessions, this and that, right? So there will be some gap in my response, but I can check your answers. But if you are really writing answers and if you are really interested, right, you can always call me, okay? Then we can speak over the phone as well, okay? That you can do. Yes, anything else? All of you are in that group, Sociology by Vikram sir, there is one group. No? Okay, all those who are attending, I think you will be sent a Telegram link to join that group. If you don't get it, proactively go to the office and take that link and join that group, right? In that group, I will be sending interesting current affairs which are relevant only for sociology optional, okay? So as and when you find time, you are expected to open those articles and read them, okay? And whatever information that is required, that will be sent across, okay? That is the idea. Anything else, guys? Huh?
In some cases, aspirants are changing options.
Yeah.
Under what circumstances they are
Because they find out after some time that that optional is not suitable for them, okay? After some time they find out that I cannot do anything more in this optional, I have reached a dead end. Maybe if I take a new optional, it will, see, there is also one problem, okay? That is the problem with repeat students, okay? See, imagine how it is to read the same thing again and again for 3 continuous years. If you are reading new things, your brain will accept it, right? They will reach a dead end. After 3-4 years of continuous preparation, they are getting average marks. So they think that if we just give up on this optional and take a new optional, we can start with a fresh mind. That will be one thing. Second, they realize that they are not really any more interested in that optional. Okay, their interests change. That is also one reason. Okay. Anything else? Will we have tests? Okay, this test thing, answer writing thing is that every day I will, from whatever topic I teach you, I will give you 3 to 5 questions, okay? You are not expected to really write answers. I will tell you what to write. You are expected to make what are called frameworks, okay? And tell me what you think is the right thing to write in that answer. Because it is no use for you to start writing now. But after we finish both the papers, I will conduct 2 full-length tests for you, okay, just to see how much you have understood. After one round of preparation, how much you have understood. Because see, to write a test really, after the course is over, you should have spent at least 45 to 60 days reading and revising. Otherwise, what is the point of writing a test, okay? So that will be the thing with your answer writing and testing program, okay? See, many people tell you that there will be weekly tests. What weekly test will you write? I really wonder, okay? Because all new students, they don't know anything about the subject. They are just so fresh and trying to understand the subject. What weekly test will you write? Okay? It is not possible, okay? But every day we will discuss how to write answers, not the answer, but what are the various things that you can incorporate in an answer. We will discuss it, okay? So that by the end of the course, you have a basic idea as to how to write answer, okay? That is what we will do. Okay, anything else? Last 5-10 minutes, please feel free to ask any questions.
Sir, are you alone going to take this subject?
Yeah, both papers I'll only finish. How many of you all here are PCM students, enrolled already? Okay, most of you. Anybody who is taking general studies somewhere else, in some other place? Okay, which place are you coming from? Huh? Analog, you? All analog? Huh? CSB, okay, great. Somebody else, you? Vision, GS. Okay, they don't have sociology optional there? They do, okay. Okay, great. So I hope to see all of you or most of you on next Thursday, and we will start with our 16-week program. Okay, we will do syllabus mapping Thursday and Friday. But if you have made up your mind to attend my class, just go and enroll. Okay, so that there is the clarity as to who are the students who have enrolled and who are the ones who are floating around. Okay. Okay. Anything else? Online students? Fees of the course, it is 40,000 rupees for offline course and 36,000 rupees for the online course. Okay, 40,000 for offline course and 36,000 for online course. That is the fee structure. Okay, Sairam? Sorry? No, test series is a separate program. Okay, test series is a separate program. It is 12,000 rupees, but you are all not encouraged to join that program. Okay, because test series is for students who have already studied their entire syllabus, given 1 or 2 mains examination, but unable to improve marks. Okay, we focus only on those sort of students for test series. Okay, you are not expected to join in the test series, right? But this test series, answer writing, all these things will come after 16 weeks. Okay, after you have completely mastered your syllabus, then you will worry about writing. Okay, that is the idea. How to enroll? You are supposed to call the Law Excellence office. Does anybody have the number? Law Excellence number? Wait, I'll give you one number. You can call that number and enroll. And the concerned person's name is Sai sir. You can call Sai sir and enroll. Okay, please take down this number 90 521 93939. Okay, Sai sir will take your admission. You can call this number and you can enroll for the course, right? Yes. So Thursday we are going to start. So if there's nothing else, I'll take a leave from all of you. Let me just check once. Yes. ठीक है? चलो. Thank you everyone. Thank you online students. Hope to see you all soon again.